Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. Today it's just me because we are gonna get talking about a subject that Victor is not Victor's expertise, because it's about being in front of the camera as opposed to being behind the lens. Today we're gonna talk about how to pose for your Instagram photos, especially if you're super awkward like me, especially in Hong Kong where there's so many people just walking by you and you want to take a photo and you feel slightly embarrassed about, posing like, who's this girl? Why does she think she deserves to be in front of the camera? Well, I have some tips for you on how to pose and build your confidence while shooting. So tip number one, this is not a pose, but basically always know your best assets and try to highlight them in any type of photo, whether it is your butt, your legs, your smile, your eyes. Always try to put that in the focal point of the photo. For me, I guess it's my height because I'm 5'8", so I try to take as much space in the photo with my limbs. And if it's on the side, try to suck in the tummy when I'm sitting down or whatever, because people have said they thought I looked pregnant in some photos, but whatever. Number two, I always try to picture myself in Victor's perspective from behind the camera. So I'm always thinking about the angle of where the camera's shooting. If it's slightly from above, I try to think of poses that would work at that angle and wouldn't make your body look very foreshortened. For example, if it's from a low angle, I try to tilt my whole body slightly more forward so that also you don't get cropped off at the top. So always think about how the photographer is actually taking the photo and how the camera is basically interpreting the photo. Okay, so the rest of these tips are going to be different poses that I like to incorporate, and I will break them down for you. So number three is I love doing the stride by. Basically the stride by, we always call the stride by, me and Victor, is basically we go across a straight facade and just do a simple walk. Usually it consists of 2 to 3 steps. You just have to be at the center of the frame and just take a few steps, go back, a few steps, go back. If you are pro at it, you can also, if you're wearing a dress, you can throw the skirt lightly up so that you have a bit more of movement in the photo. The reason why I love the stride by is that it's quite natural when you do it, even though it might look really silly in front of everyone. But when you do a stride by, it kind of looks like you're just walking into the shot. That feels more natural and candid than if you actually had to do a fashion model pose. And number four is the lean, and I love the lean because in Hong Kong there's so many things around us, especially a lot of fences, a lot of poles, a lot of benches. Hong Kong is a maximalist city, so I love incorporating all those elements of the city into my photos, and there's no better way to do this than doing the lean. You can either lean on a wall. Usually I prefer leaning on half walls because that means you can kind of put your arm up slightly and do something else with your other hand, and that avoids any awkward flailing of the arms because you're kind of slightly leaning on something and just casually posing. Number five, the pose I like to do a lot is I like to actually just interact with the environment. This helps to activate the space that you're in, especially it's really awkward if you just stand there and just stand up straight and kind of just look around and smile at the camera. It's always best to be a little more languid and a little more flexible and loose in the space so that, for example, if you're at a cafe, there's a bar table, I like to lean on it, or I like to touch some of the space. That helps to activate the environment so it doesn't feel like you're just an object occupying the space, but you're actually part of that environment, and that invites the viewer to also be a part of that space and that surrounding that you're in. Number six is just simply to sit. And I love the sitting position because I am not the most flexible or athletic person up there, so I can't do all these crazy poses that you've seen on Instagram. But sitting, anyone can sit. You just have to find the perfect angle to sit at. Okay, sometimes I sit forward, but generally I like to sit more facing towards the side, because if you sit more towards the side, the camera doesn't foreshorten your legs, and so your legs are elongated and kind of fill up the space more. It really depends on the environment you're in. If I'm sitting on a staircase and we're shooting symmetrical, I do generally try to have my knees and legs pointing forward, but maybe a little more apart so it doesn't look so stiff and small. Generally, most of your photos you want to kind of spread your limbs around and feel like an octopus, because you want to fill up the space and really have a dynamic sense of form when you have the photo taken. So for example, in Hong Kong, because I'm shooting a lot of coffee shops or city environmentscapes, I like to either, perch myself on the fence as opposed to just leaning on it or just standing awkwardly by the fence. Or if it's in a cafe, I like to sit in the window seat. It kind of gives a very natural sense of posture as opposed to something that's forced, and you can always do something else with your hands because your legs are occupied by sitting. Tip number 7, this is something I've been doing a lot lately, is always use your hands to frame your face. I think this is one thing you can do if you're super awkward like me. Victor always likes to joke around that I like to flail around a lot because I actually have a lot of nervous energy when I'm talking to you guys in front of the camera. So for photos, I like to use my hands to kind of just frame the face and to give the picture a sense of relaxed candidness. That's not a term. But for example, you can do things like this, kind of like this, like this, like this. Anything that feels kind of natural in a sense in the space that you're in, and that always helps to kind of frame the face and to bring attention actually to your face as opposed to your hands just being down, because the camera kind of just goes down your body and out. But if you bring your hands back up towards where your face is, it kind of frames it back and creates a really nice, pleasing circular motion in your composition. So number 8, I like this tip a lot because maybe I started off as a prop stylist, but I love bringing props with me everywhere I shoot because of these awkward hands. So for example, it could be something really natural. For example, a cup. I always love having a coffee cup because it works in the context of the space I'm shooting. So if maybe it's a coffee cup in a coffee shop setting, or maybe it's like a takeout cup from a Ta Tan Tang that I'll bring on the streets and have with me. And it kind of evokes a bit more of a narrative, as if maybe I walked out of the Ta Tan Tang with that milk tea and I just brought it with me and we just decided to snap a photo in the middle of Wan Chai. I also love bringing different types of bags. For example, I have this Fendi one these days. And for bags, you can always hold it in a different way just because different bags have different structures in terms of how you can pose and interact with these things. So lately these days, it's more like this kind of shot, holding it close. But if it's a backpack, usually I do a back shot, or maybe it's just on one shoulder and to the side. So you can always change up the poses depending on the props that you bring. Maybe it's you wear a hat and you can touch the hat, or it's weird to touch a hairband because it kind of doesn't make sense, but if you have a wide brim hat, you can touch the hat, maybe do this on the chair, go up like this, and that makes a very natural looking pose, and no one will know you're super awkward in person. Okay, number 9 is always find clothes that fill up the space. You want to know why Instagram is full of girls flitting around in ball gowns and big dresses? It's because these pieces of clothing help fill up the space, and the whole goal of a photo is to fill up that space with something. Either it's your body, a prop, or it's with your pose. But if you're not very good at doing those fashion poses, it's great to wear something that's a bit more voluminous, whatever. And for me, it's a lot about the skirts that I wear, the dresses I wear. A lot of them, I try to find things that both flatter my body type, but then also work well in front of the camera. You can find skirts that have a bit of a split on the side, or those button-up skirts. You can always undo some of the buttons and help when you're posing. You can kind of like pick it up and drop it, pick it up and drop it. And hopefully whoever your patient photographer is can capture that movement when you've just dropped the skirt and it's kind of in midair. So you can always think about what kind of clothes you're wearing. You can maybe, if you're not, a dresses person, you don't have to be a girl who likes dresses. I like also wearing a lot of jackets, and I love finding, large cardigans that are super long that also work just as well as dresses, but it translates maybe into a bit more tomboyish La Garçon look. And number 10, finally my last one. I have no idea how you guys started coining this as the Sam is home pose, but the Sam is home pose is basically a back shot and putting your hands up in the air in the peace sign, or just like a kind of a slight wave. if you do this, I started doing this because my face is super awkward, and when you're posing with your back towards the camera, no one's looking at your face, and it's very easy to take the shot because you're not like zooming in to see if your eyes are like half closed. So a lot of times I do this in large spaces. Generally what you do is literally just one hand in the air, kind of don't have it too straight up because it kind of looks too vertical. You kind of want to tilt it down a little, kind of 45-degree angle, and just have it out in the peace sign, or like just 5 fingers out like you're waving. This is kind of like one of my carefree go-to poses when I maybe didn't put enough makeup on that day, or just don't feel like having to take a ton of shots. A lot of times, like, I feel very time sensitive, and when I take the shot, I know Victor's very patient, but I also don't want to take up so much of people's time around me, especially if it's a Instagram spot and I just want a quick photo. So that's it. I hope these 10 tips helped you build your confidence in taking photos for Instagram. It's actually just a lot of practice, and just to take a lot of photos and just to really believe in yourself. Who cares? People are judging you for sure, but they cannot see the vision that you have for that particular photo. So I encourage you to go out there and just try and see what works for you. So if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more of photography tips either in front of the camera or behind the camera, please consider subscribing. This is one topic I didn't think people would really be interested in doing, but after doing a few AMAs, I got this question quite a bit, and I thought, hey, why not just try doing this type of video? So if you liked it, please let me know, and if any of these tips helped you, or what is your favorite go-to pose. Okay, I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye!